Hi everyone, this is Lauren coming at you with another deck tech video. This one going over the Mono Water monsters named Jinx Foils by Maxwell Williams. So he came out second place at the Boston Crystal Cup, and this deck is amazing. Actually, it's really efficient against both lightning and mono ice. So that's a big part of the meta to begin with. If you go to competitive events, you will notice that mono lightning is usually pretty prevalent, and in Opus 5, mono ice is another color that you want, another element that you want to be ready to face. So let's start off with some of the card choices that he made in his deck. One drop Porum. Using Porum to be able to block and search out the other Porum is pretty good, and also the fact that if your opponent tries to remove it by targeting it, you can return it to your hand and make them waste cards. So that, for one drops, pretty good. Next up, we've got Mira. So Mira, what you want to do is set up 2-3 backups, have a bunch of those 2-cost monsters in your hand and a Mira. You play the Mira out, and then by pitching a card for CP, and then you use your backups to play all those 2-drop monsters for the cost of 1. Next up, we've got Realm. She's one of the keys to this deck, actually. The fact that she's not only EX, but when you play her out for a 2-drop, she does net you another card for a hypothetically free play, if you think about it that way. Being able to actually filter out your deck to take the monsters out, and you have a decent amount. You've got 11. And put them in your hand and put backups back to the bottom of your deck are actually going to help you set up for Schrodinger plays later on. I'll go over what happens. Next up, we've got Cognasso. You're playing Mono Water. Cognasso is meant to be in there as well as Scholar. Next up, we've got Porum. So Porum's an EX, but also if not an EX, the ability to cancel action effects, such as somebody trying to crack a devout. They will, since the cost of using devout is to put it into the break zone, then canceling the effect of the ability is going to let the devout go to the break zone while having no effect. And being able to stack your deck by taking the best card that you can, digging deep, and then putting backups back to the bottom of your deck is going to help you set up for that Schrodinger. Next up, we've got Emperor. So either mirror match or other matches where, let's say, people like to use specials and action abilities, the Emperor is going to be able to shut that down. Next up, we've got Gao. You're playing a monster deck. You should be playing Gao. Then we got Lena. Actually, 3 of her. She definitely helps you get back those mirrors or those realms whenever you need them. Kefka is really there in case your opponent plays an Emperor and you have a bunch of monsters anyways. So if you pop a Cleone, for example, for Kefka's cost, you will actually get to draw a card off that. Cloud of Darkness is a new piece in this deck that is able to help it become a form of removal, especially when it comes to things like, for example, the Emperor. So let's say you have a Porum, a Realm, and a Mira in play. You play a Cloud of Darkness, and now you can take out, you can reduce the Emperor by 8,000 power, which will put it into the break zone and let you activate all your monsters all over again. So going over some of the monsters, we've got Cleone. That's a really good answer to summons. And if you have Realm, you can actually turn Cleone into a forward. And if it goes to the break zone, you'll get to draw a card. Next up, we've got Green Dragon. Great against the Lightning and Ice matchups when they're waiting for you to have a active forward, or they're trying to dole it down. Well, they'll only be able to do that when you turn Green Dragon into a forward. So let's say like a Renoa gets broken, then normally all your forwards are doled out. You will no longer have blockers. But since you're playing Green Dragon, go ahead and activate it to turn it into a forward, and you'll be able to do combat magic and whatever combat trades, especially with top barriers, which we will discuss afterwards. And yeah, the Green Dragon's really effective against both lightning and ice. Next up, we got Schrodinger. One of the keys to this deck, this little Popcat is amazing. So usually when you start using all those realms and all those porums, the four cost porum, you're able to put a bunch of backups into your deck, enter mid late game, and all of a sudden Schrodinger is able to get it forward back to your hand from your break zone. So if they were able to get rid of things that you really needed, just go ahead and get them right back. And Tom Berry's Combat Trick Master Tom Berry's. Yes, this Opus 4 has been a pain in the butt. If as soon as it enters the field, you look at it, you're like -2, -4k. This is gonna hurt. And all of a sudden, you've got, for example, a 5k Porum blocking a trading with a 9k forward, so that's not bad. Or most of the time, you'll actually try to get the advantageous plays instead. So let's say Lena with Tom Berry's can block 8 or 10k with no problem by using either of Tom Berry's abilities. And keep in mind, since you have Mira, as soon as one of your monster breaks, if you have Mira in play and she's active, you're able to dull her in order to search your deck for another copy of that monster. Going for backups, Artemisian's been pretty good since it came out if you really wanted to dig for certain answers. It takes a backup spot, but from what I understand, this deck really likes to get to 3 backups quickly. So Artemisian can really help you do that. Fisher, 2-drop backup that lets you get monsters of cost 3 or less from the break zone onto the field. So that can work with your Cleos, Schrodinger's, Tom Berry's, whatever you want to do. Scholar is a must if you play the Cagnasso package in the Mono Water deck. Leonara is also EX that can get you to that can search for a Porum, and if you play it out for, I mean, at 3 costs, it's pretty good. I mean, 3 costs that's able to search for something is definitely what you're looking for most 3 cost searchers, and the fact that it's EX on top of that is just gravy. Tom Betty, same thing, but now with Tom Berry's and Mira. Waka, I mean, you're playing Mono Water, you might as well have 3 copies of a plus 1000 power backup for your element. And 3 of Merle Webb. So this card hasn't been so popular, but her along with Artemisian can really smooth out your draws. And so EX on top of that. So yeah, Maxwell Williams did amazing at the Boston Crystal Cup. Great guy, all about foils. And yeah, I mean, he's all about foils, but he is one heck of a pilot. This deck is not an easy one to take out and to play with. He put in a lot of hours, a lot of playtesting, and it really showed. I mean, going to 6 damage and almost not sweating, not flinching, and then coming right back, double CAG and all kinds of shenanigans, like Gao to, let's say, a Schrodinger or like a Lena into a realm. I mean, there were all kinds of plays. This is a really fun deck to play, but it is going to take some time and practice in order to master it. It's not one of those like, hey, you know what, I'm just going to go out there and play out whatever my hand is. You actually want to carefully consider which cards you put into your break zone, even though you can get most of those back, and at what point you really try to do any kind of combat shenanigans and blocks, because if you spend too many resources actually trying to slow them down instead of building up your board, that Cagnasso will not be efficient enough to actually wipe their board. So normally what you want to do is you want to stabilize and double CAG so that you can go in for pretty much all the damage unabated. And for any other reason, when you want to do trades, Tom Berry's is really efficient, as well as Mira. I mean, there were times when I would see Max had like a couple, like 4 or 5 cards in his hand. He drops Mira, and all of a sudden, like, he drops 3 monsters, and I'm looking at it like, what the heck just happened? I mean, that's a whole reload. It's pretty amazing. So if you feel like you want to try out a pretty tricky deck and you want to take it out for a couple rounds, this is a great deck. Please give it a shot. And even if you're not going to play it, it's another one of those that if you plan to be competitive, you should be aware of this deck and play test against it. So if you want to get any of these cards, thanks again to Magic Tech Games for supplying some of the prizes that we give out on our giveaways. and they just restocked on Opus. They're restocking on Opus 5 at the moment, from what I heard. And if you're looking for any of those forums or anything like that, you'll be able to get them on that site. So if you have any comments or any questions, feel free to add it down below. If you haven't done so, subscribe. We're still going to run a giveaway. Right now we're aiming for 500 subs with this lightning, or if you feel like it, if you're more of a Magic player, you got the Horizon Canopy right here. So please subscribe, and otherwise we'll catch you next time.